Kunjabiyadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyadi. Gopi Janavalabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Janavalabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Janavalabha Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Dhira Vanachari Yamuna Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivara Dari. Gopi Janavalabha Girivara Dari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paraprajaka Paracharya Astasara Sishimad, His Divine Grace. Oh well. Not even the wow, my brain just went totally blank. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paraprajaka Astasata Sishimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopagopnath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Gangamai ki jai, Yamunamai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premananda, Hari Hari Bolo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga and His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Shuko Vacha Jara Sutas Ta Abhishritya Madhavau Maha Balokena Baliyashaivanat Sa Sainya Yana Dvaja Vaji Sarati Suryanalao Vayur Ivabra Renubihi Shri Shuko Vacha Jarasutasta Vibhistra Madhavao Mahabalhau Gena Baliya Savrinot Sasainya Yana Dvajavaji Sarati Surya Nalau Vayuri Vabrarenubi Jarasutastava Bishritya Madhavau Mahabalau Gena Baliya Savrinat Sasainya Yana Dvajavaji Sarati Suryana Lauvayuri Vabrarenubi Shri Shuko Vacha Jarasutastava Bishritya Madhavau Mahabalhau Gena Baliya Savrinat Sasainya Yana Dvajavaji Sarati Surya Nalau Vayuri Vabrarenubi Shri Shuko Vacha Mahabalau Gena Baliya Savrinot Sasainya Yana Dvajavaji Sarati Surya Nalau Vayuri Vabrarenubi Shri Shuko Vacha Jarasutastava Bistritya Madhavau Mahabalau Gena Liya Savrinat Sasainyana Dvajavaji Sarati. Baba Renubi. Shri Shukovacha. Shukovacha. Jada Sutastava Bistritya Madhavau. Mahabalaugena Baliya Savrinot. Sasenya Yana Dvajavaji Sarati. Surya Nalau Vayori Vabarenubi. Shri Shukobacha. Jara Sutastava Bistritya Madhavau. Mahabalaugina Baliya Savrina. Sasenya Yana Dvajavaji Sarati. Suryana Lavayuri Vabrarenubi. Okay. Shri Shukovacha. Shukadev Goswami said, Jadasutaha, the son of Jara, Tau, the two of them, Abhishritya, going up to, Madhavau, the descendants of Madhu, Maha, great, Bala, of military prowess, Hogena, with a flood, Balayasa, powerful, Avrinat, surrounded, Sa, with, Sainya, soldiers, Yana, chariots, Dvaja, flags, Vaji, horses, Sarati, and charioteers, Surya, the sun, Analau, and a fire, Vayuhu, the wind, Eva, as, Abra, by clouds, Varenabihi, and by particles of dust. So translation, Shukadev Goswami said, just as the wind covers the sun with clouds or a fire with dust, the son of Jara marched toward the two descendants of Madhu, and with his huge assemblage of armies, surrounded them with their soldiers, chariots, flags, horses, and charioteers. So you can repeat. Shukadev Goswami said, just as the wind covers the sun with clouds or a fire with dust, the son of Jara marched towards the two descendants of Madhu, and with his huge assemblage of armies, surrounded them and their soldiers, chariots, flags, horses, and charioteers. So, purport by the disciples of His Grace Srila Prabhupada, so Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Acharya Sridhar Goswami points out that clouds only seem to cover the sun. The sun remains shining in the vast sky, nor is the potency of fire affected by a thin covering of dust. Similarly, the coverings of Jarasanda's military strength was only apparent. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, as the wind covers the sun with clouds or fire with dust, Jarasandha covered the two descendants of the Madhu dynasty, Madhaval, with his armies. However, this was just an appearance, just as nothing can cover the sun. And then Jiva Goswami comments, he is called the son of Jara to show that he has superhuman powers given by Jara after she joined his two halves together. Krishna and Balaram are called descendants of Madhu to show how they enacted human pastimes. For that reason, they were surrounded by Jarasandha's troops. The two brothers shone brightly like the sun and the fire combined together at the time of pralaya, which is dissolution. So, Omijnana Timiranda Shah, Gananjana Shalakya, Chakshurun Militam, Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, as I was reading this, what stood out for me was Krishna being covered, apparently, and how really the process of, everything relates to this in Krishna consciousness, because, you've got Jarasandha, you've got Shishupal, you've got, all these people that have enmity or are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they're thinking of him all the time, which is a good thing, but they don't have a favorable relationship. And then we're kind of in this middle place, because there's the pure devotees who are constantly thinking of him, have no ulterior motive and no conditioning, and we're in this place, at least speaking for myself, of being conditioned. And so, and I've been meditating on this a lot, about how things appear one way externally, but then really there's this whole internal thing going on, and how somebody may apparently externally appear, to be doing everything wrong, but their mood and their attitude and, their internal life is very much different from what we may see externally. And so it's really important not to make judgments. There's this, and maybe I've shared it before, but there's this quote, and I think it's, I can't remember now, Walt Whitman. It's somebody who writes prolifically, but they said, be curious, don't judge, or don't be judgmental. And it came up, and I was visiting my sister, and we were watching this program, and it, came up in this activity where this one personality was being judged by another person. And so he was saying, I was always judged or misjudged by people based on my, based on being a nerd, being this, based on these external appearances. He said, but what's really interesting is that I came out of one of my son's classes, or picking him up from school, and I saw this quote that was, painted out on the wall, which was, be curious, not judgmental. And he said, so, you're thinking that I can't do this particular activity because of your judgment of me. And then he goes on to prove that, without being curious and making this judgment, he didn't understand that he was expert at this particular activity, right? And so, and won a bet because of it. And what it reemphasized for me was being very careful about our judgments of circumstances in this world, because really what's going on internally for somebody may be struggling externally, apparently, but have the most intimate relationship with Krishna, where somebody may be performing, memorize the Shastras, quoting so many quotes and doing all these things, out of pride, and maybe not as close to Krishna internally. And the opposite may be true in both of those instances, obviously. But again, for me, it was like, these appearances, and how Krishna's really not revealed without losing envy, and, which we can see with Jarasandha and all these other, personalities who are envious towards Krishna. And we, being conditioned, have to be careful and not thinking that because we're practicing devotional service and performing so many things and maybe doing so many things right, but still understanding that we still have this conditioning of maybe being judgmental. And because of these things, and I'm speaking for myself and thinking and meditating on the fact that, Krishna's not here standing before me, and I'm not having a direct personal relationship with him yet, because there's still some level of judgment and envy on my part. And so I need to be introspective enough to consider, to enliven myself with the things that I'm doing right, encourage myself to do the right things, but also being introspective enough to realize that, the reason I'm not there is because I'm probably not chanting properly. I'm probably committing offenses and on many different levels. And so I need to continue to work on that by trying to really go deeply into the process of devotional service so that I can really get to that place. Because otherwise, if we don't do that, we're always going for all the external things to try to feed us our happiness. And our happiness isn't there. Our happiness is in our relationship with Krishna. And this was so apparent to me because I thought about, there's a couple of verses in the Bhagavad Gita, and I couldn't quite find the one that I was thinking about, but there were a couple, and I wanted to go over that, and one of which the purport is really amazing, and of course all the purports are amazing because they're written by Srila Prabhupada, who is and has a direct relationship with Krishna. And because of that, we can feel all of that when we read his purports. We can read his relationship with Krishna, right? So one of them that popped in my mind is in chapter 7, text 25 of Knowledge of the Absolute Truth. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. So we don't really know who Krishna is, right? When there's this, envy, lack of intelligence and foolishness. And so then I popped over to chapter 11, which is the universal form, and this is where sort of, my memory was going to the verses. And I was thinking about, so there's a couple. The form you were seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship, right? So we're worshiping the Supreme Personality, undergoing some austerities, giving charity perhaps, and then studying the Vedas. But I'm not understood by these. It is not by these means that one can see, and it's not that we don't do those things, that one can see me as I am. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So it's devotional service. And there's a lot that's entailed in devotional service. There's worshiping, there's penances, there's, reading the Veda, all these things. But it has to have a heart. Because the whole point is having a personal relationship. Devotional service is personal. And that's what we're in the process of, because we've been born impersonal. We've been born into thinking that, in this material world, that this material world is the summum bonum. It is the, the means to the end, and that it's the all of everything that we do. And that's impersonal because it has nothing to do with Krishna. And until we get to that root cause of our existence, then we're really on an impersonal level, because we're not being curious enough, and we're being judgmental and thinking that we're God and thinking we're the enjoyer, right? So Prabhupada shares that Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. He explicitly explains this in this verse so that unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by the speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. No one can understand Krishna or how he came from parents in a four-armed form and at once changed himself into a two-handed form. These things are very difficult to understand by studying the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. And there again, when we dive in devotional service, it's like we're grabbing Krishna's hand and he's guiding us and giving us all the knowledge and giving us, so that we're intelligent and, giving us everything, emotions, everything, but directed towards him so that we can really understand what it means to be personal and see everything connected to him. Right? Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him or enter into understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn from him about the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regular principles described in the authoritative scripture. One can perform penance in accordance with those principles. For example, to undergo serious penances, one may observe fasting on Janmashtami, the day on which Krishna appeared, and on the 2 days of Ekadashi, the 11th day after the new moon and the 11th day after the full moon. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotees of Krishna who are engaged in his devotional service to spread the Krishna philosophy or Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to humanity. Lord Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most munificent man of charity because of love of Krishna. So in other words, he's defining and giving us, what those things really mean by charity, worship, and, serious penances, studying the Vedas. Why are we doing that? Not for ourselves, not to, for padasevana, not padasevana, but profit, adoration, and distinction, not about ourselves. And so because in Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him, meaning Lord Chaitanya. So if one gives some amount of money to persons involved in distributing Krishna consciousness, that charity given to spread Krishna consciousness is the greatest charity in the world. And if one worships as prescribed in the temples in India, there are always some statue, usually of Vishnu or Krishna, that is a chance to progress by offering worship in respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the beginners in devotional service to the Lord, temple worship is essential, and this is confirmed in the Vedic literature, Swetashvatara Upanishad 6.23. Yasya deva para bhaktir yata deva tatakarao tashyaitai yaite katita hyartaha prakashante mahatmanaha. One who has, this is really significant, this was really significant when I was going through this. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master in whom he has similar unflinching faith can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. So, again, this was really significant for me of, undertaking and imbibing this journey on becoming a personalist and how, to obtain this, it's about association. Everything we're doing is about association with Krishna. And, that to me is why... And my spiritual master said something, too, that was really significant about this, is that the Bhagavad Gita in the Vedic literatures, but especially the Bhagavad Gita for us, is a map, a direct map, giving us the direction on getting to Krishna directly and personally. And so I was thinking about this because I was going through the Bhagavad Gita and I was reading, what I was doing is I was quick reading all the translations because I was trying to find this verse. And what was so amazing to me as I was just skimming over the top of these is that Krishna basically was saying, if you practice devotional service, you'll come back to me. You'll have a relationship with me. I'm here for you. Don't fear. It was just verse after verse after verse. Surely they will come to me. Surely they will have a relationship with me. Surely they'll gain this knowledge. Surely they'll have all these things related to me if you just follow this process of devotional service. And so he was saying the same thing throughout the Bhagavad Gita. And so it was just, for me, and then confirming who he is. And so it was just, I don't know, something was really amazing about this, of how it was, this map of developing our relationship with Krishna. And so, and that even if we're, superhuman, which is what what he was talking about with Jarasandha, appeared to be superhuman. And it appeared that his armies were, covering Balaram and Krishna. But, who can cover the sun? No one. And so, again, here's this juxtaposition of this envy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and this indomitable sunshine that can be controlled or covered. And which are you going to take shelter of? Which are you going to do? And so that's our challenge. That's like the challenge horse for us, is to be curious about who Krishna is. Be curious about our relationship with him. Be curious about our relationship with all those that are related to him, which is everything and everyone, every living entity, because he's the cause of all causes, and we're part and parcel of him. Every single thing is created by him. Then, that's what you want to take shelter of, because that's where you're going to be happy, where you're going to lose all your pain and your suffering, no matter what you're going through. Because at the end of the day, no matter what your challenges are, be they small, big, moderate, whatever they are, at the end of the day, when we have that relationship with Krishna, nothing else matters. It's just like, and that example is given, is that drop rolls off of the lotus petal. Because that lotus petal is completely protected. And it's funny, somehow that reminds me, because I remember I used to, being a very hyper child, I was always really super active, and I would go swimming. I was on the swim team, and, would go to swim practice. I had to go home, but then I would beg to go back, and we'd be there all day, beg to eat lunch there, go home, eat dinner, and then beg to go back. And so I was at the pool a lot. But I remember one day being in the pool and underwater, and then I was seeing all these bubbles on my arm and kind of this silver kind of coating. And so I was like, wow, I wonder if, there's this barrier between the water and my skin, and there's like this protective coating. And and you could see the bubbles kind of going off of the skin, and so it reminds me of that, how when we're connected to Krishna, we're fully protected, and we can't be, that's where our full protection is. Even if the body goes away. And so again, at the end of the day, I come back to thinking, again, if you think of the universe, how many unlimited planets there are, how many interactions between all the living entities are. We come back down to this earth, and then we come back down, to where we're living, and then we come back down to our body, and you see all that, frenetic, chaotic stuff going on. But in the middle of that, and in the middle of our heart, is Krishna. And we're there too. The soul is there with Krishna. And just think about how beautiful and intimate and peaceful and satisfied and happy that is, no matter what all this other stuff is. And that's where we're trying to get. That's the path we're trying to go on, and trying to get rid of all these external judgments and be curious about our relationship with Krishna. And, just realizing that, nothing can touch that. There's a couple of other verses, too, that I was thinking about in this context. One is, one who sees inaction and action, and action and inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. And so there's this juxtaposition again between, and that's text 18 of chapter 4 in the Bhagavad Gita, of
not really understanding what action and inaction are, and how it's totally flipped when it comes to Krishna consciousness, because what may appear to be action is actually inaction, or actions that are taking us away from Krishna, whereas the inactions, apparently from a materialistic view, are actually actions, like not participating in material activities is actually action in Krishna consciousness. And so how we obtain that knowledge, again, is by being curious about our relationship with Krishna. And then tying that all together with seeing the big picture, because that's, again, achincha abheda tattva, of seeing things simultaneously one and different, of understanding the small picture of that very beautiful and intimate relationship, that beautiful, intimate, single relationship that we have with Krishna, but knowing that, again, from the big picture, that he's the cause of all causes, that he is related to every single living entity, is then in turn understanding the big picture, not just the small picture within ourselves. That's important. That's absolute to understand. It's so ingrained in my head that, Prabhupada shared in one of his purports that you have to be able to swim yourself before you can save somebody else, right? So it's important. Our relationship with Krishna is absolutely important. It's good to be selfish in that context. At the same time, understanding the big picture, that Krishna, that we're all parts and parcel of Krishna, and then how we can go, like one of those drawings you might have done when you were a kid in a exercise book or crayon book, of connecting all the dots. Because when you start doing that and connecting all the dots, once you've done that, you see the actual form that that's hidden in all those dots. And so when we practice Krishna consciousness and we start to connect all those dots and see everybody connected to Krishna, then we see the big picture, right? And in that lies compassion, and understanding and knowledge, and then we lose the ignorance and we lose the pain and the suffering, and all those things go away, and we can see that big picture. And that's the greatest compassion, of helping other living entities understand their relationship with Krishna, right? Of understanding how they can be happy and how they don't have to suffer. And so, again, if you just cruise through just here, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. It's like, even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter of me, though they be of lower birth, women, vaishyas, merchants, shudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. Okay, how much more this is so of righteous brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Engage your mind, always thinking of me. Become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. If you go through the Bhagavad Gita, it's just like over and over and over, you will come to me. You will understand me. You'll have this beautiful, loving relationship with me. And, that's, again, it was one of those things that stood out to me as I was, doing that, this like, oh, wow, this is Krishna assuring us that this devotional process works. And I was also thinking about this yesterday, because one of my friends is Mary, who's been one of my friends since high school, practices devotional service to a degree. She chants, she tries to do vegetarian, tries to offer, and all these things. And then when she's in a very serious circumstance, she'll come to me. She's been in the hospital and is home now, but will have to go back for surgery. But she shared, like, I don't know what to do because I feel like I'm kind of insane in the context that I really, and I'm sure because this is all bringing up the possibility of death. When you have to go through surgery, you have major problems with the body. And she's like, I'm still attached to my family. I still want to be here and watch my grandchildren, grow up. And I said, and I shared with her, well, the thing is Krishna's helping you, because it's kind of like schizophrenic when you become schizophrenic a little bit when you become Krishna conscious, because you start to see things from two different perspectives, and as you're, especially as you're starting your devotional service, it can be very juxtaposed, and it can kind of blow you away. But I shared with her, Krishna's just helping you, give you that vision, but understand he's not going to take away or make you become detached from things that you're not ready to become detached from. He's not, he'll give it, it's just a step-by-step process. And so I was thinking again about developing this relationship with Krishna, because of course I want to tell her, just drop everything, just chant Hare Krishna, give your family Krishna consciousness and everything will be good because you'll bring them with you. But we have to do it at a level where somebody's ready, because if not, they'll go into panic, they'll go into anxiety, and then they'll drop it. I've seen that happen so many times when you push too far, too fast, too hard, too fast. But it's just bit by bit, and I could see that maybe it's not this lifetime, but, the thing that stood out to me is that, and with many of my family members, is that, the thing about Krishna consciousness and where you lose the anxiety and fear, and where there's a difference in this action and inaction and the activities that you do in Krishna consciousness is that you never lose the benefit from those. You always get to come back, start from that point, and keep going. Whereas in the material world, you lose everything when you die. Boom, it's gone. It's gone. There's nothing you can hold on. There's nothing you can take. And that's where that attachment comes from. But for us, and the need to share this, of course, is understanding is that there's no loss or diminution in our relationship, and that's where the joy is, and that's where we come back to that little sacred spot in our heart, where we have that relationship with Krishna. Is that's what we hold on to, and we never have to let go of. Our relationship with him is always there; it'll never be gone. Just like the sun, because we're, part and parcel. And so in some ways, we can see this connection because, Krishna's not covered by this, like the sun is not covered by the clouds. He's like the strong fire, that's not covered by the dust. And so it's the same for the soul, right? Yes, the soul is covered by the conditioning, but it's still pure. It's never not pure. It's just the body and our consciousness that's not pure. But our soul is just like that sun, because it's related and non-different to Krishna in the context that we're part and parcel of him. And so, again, this whole process of, being curious about our relationship and not being judgmental, not even judgmental about ourselves, because, you can do self-loathing and go down into this pity pool. I always imagine a kiddie pool and being in there having a little temper tantrum in the water, of, oh, poor me, and as long as we're stuck to the context of that, our self-pity pool, that's where we're going to wallow. Whereas when we start to pick up our relationship with Krishna, then, we let the water out of that pity pool and we get to, dive into the ocean of devotional service. And have this amazing relationship with Krishna. So exciting ourselves with that. Again, being self-introspective, but not being so obsessed about it that, we keep ourselves from going towards Krishna, right? So I think there's a couple of more minutes, maybe. What's that? It was Walt Whitman, yeah. Yeah, it's a part of a poem. Be curious, not judgmental. And the reason it's coming, and the whole thing of why this is coming to me is that, because of my conditioning, so many times I have a tendency to judge things by external. And so I'm trying to challenge myself with being curious about what the real truth is internally for myself and others. So, all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Association of Devotees, and all glories to Shri Shri Radha Golokananda Ki Jai. Oh, thank you. Yay.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalayatakam Bharavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Nandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Vipan Vikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami.
The melody, so y'all have to. Ooh. So sorry. Sorry. Jeev jago, Gora Chandra Bole. Jeev jago, Gora Chandra Bole. Kota Nidra Jamaya Pishachira Kole. Baji Bobolea Eshe Samsara Pitore Baji Bolea Eshe Samsara Pitore Buliaro Hile Tume Avijara Bale. Tomare loite ami hoenu avatara. Hami bina banduara ke aceto mara. Enice Saudi Maya Nashibaro lagi. Enice Saudi Maya Nashibaro lagi. Harinama mantra Lautumi magi. Harinama mantra Lautumi magi. Bhakti Vinoda Prabhu Charane Pariya. Say Hari Nama mantra Loilo Magiya. Say Hari Nama mantra Loilo Magiya. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. Gota Nidra Jao Maya Vishachira Gole.
Lokananda Radhe. Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paravrajacharya Sata Shishi Mad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prim Sekoho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopna Sham Kund Radha Kund Nikita Govardhana Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaura Primananda, Hari Hari Bolo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shishi Guru Angaranga and His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Gaurchandra is calling. Wake up, sleeping soul. Wake up, sleeping soul. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? You have forgotten the way of devotional service and are lost in the cycle of birth and death. I have descended just to save you. I am your only true friend. Other than me, what friend do you have? I have bought the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you suffer. Take this great chant for deliverance, Mahamantra, the names of Hari. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, falling at the Lord's lotus feet, takes shelter of the Harinam mantra, the Lord's holy name. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Radha Golokananda Ki Jai. Marjanam Bhavanam Varinapanam Shraya Krada Vichandrika Taranam Vijaya Jivanam Anandam Budi Vardhanam Pratiparam Purdam Vishnadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Padam Pudam Sankirtan Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tartar Pitani Amita Smarane Nakala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavam Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishamiha Janina Nuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadaharahi Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagarishvakamaye Mama Janmani Janmarishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahaituki Twai Ayinana Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Ambishame Bhavam Budao Vijayakaram Chastita Duli Sadisham Vichahintya
Nayanam Galada Shudaraya, Vadanam Gadgada Rudaya Gira, Pulakaya Nichitam Vabakada, Tavagnama Grahane Vivashiti, Yugayitam Yishena, Chakshusha Pavrishayitam, Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam, Govinda Virahiname. Ashlishava pararatam panishtamam adarshanam marmahatam karotava yatatava vidau hatutu lampato matprananatastu saeva napara.
Kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand an end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Sri Shastra Ki Jai. All glories to the lotus feet of the servants of the Lord, dressing the deities nicely, cooking for the deities, so many nice services. Hare Krishna.